Guys, welcome back. And today I'm going to be talking about Iron Man 3, continuing my series of re-reviewing random MCU films. Um, Now, as I've said before, I can only promise that I'm going to be reviewing uh, this movie, Age of Ultron and Infinity War, before Endgame comes out on Friday. Because, just to give you some quick explanation why, I want to stay off the internet on Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, because I'm not most likely not going. I'm most likely going to be seeing Endgame on Sunday. My family doesn't really buy tickets to things, so we're just gonna show up there. Hopefully, it won't be sold out, because that would suck. But I'm most likely going to be seeing Endgame on Sunday, the 28th, because I have a concert on Saturday, and then I have a rehearsal for that same concert on Friday. Um, and it's a crazy, crazy, crazy time right now for me, so I'm gonna be like staying off the internet for those few days because I want to avoid spoilers for the film. It's just gonna be a really busy week, so I can't really promise any specific reviews except this one, Age of Ultron and Infinity War. I'm gonna try and get out. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about Iron Man 3 here today, and this is the final chapter in the Iron Man saga. It's not, um, but it's Iron Man 3, there will be spoilers, obviously. It came out 6 years ago, I believe, at this point, and it's really good. I really enjoyed this movie. Now, I've said in quite a few times, like, the past, and, like, Iron Man videos related to it, where, like, there's an Iron Man 3 figure or something in a set, I've always kind of been like, I don't really like Iron Man 3. Um, and I don't actually hate Iron Man 3. I actually think it's a pretty fun movie. And that's the best way I can describe it. The first one, I think, is still a better film, objectively. But this one's just a ton of fun to watch. It's just a really fun movie. In case you're wondering why I just have, like, a poster here, like a Lego-ified poster of Iron Man 3 here, instead of actually just, like, uh, having a little figure display. I'm working on a TV spot for Avengers Endgame right now, so my desk is a mess, and I don't really have any figures from Iron Man 3. By the way, Iron Man 3 was like the second film there were Lego Marvel sets based on, so that's kind of a fun little Easter egg there. But the movie, it's a ton of fun, and it's a enjoyable ride for me at least. Um, it's got a little bit of emotional weight, but it kind of just drops that emotional weight. Like, there's a really good scene where he's, talking to Pepper, and he kind of reveals to her, that he's been having PTSD since the Battle of New York. So, this is based later in the year after the Avengers in, like, the timeline of the MCU. This came out a year after the Avengers. It was the first film to come out after the Avengers. Um, so it's at Christmas time, and it's after the Avengers. So he went through the black hole to send the nuke up to blow up the Chitauri mothership. So he's having PTSD. So there's like really funny. There's a lot of subtle little funny moments in the movie, which I guess is something that all the Iron Man movies have, but I think they do it the best in this one. Like, there's a part where he's talking to Rhodey in a cafe at the beginning, and this little girl walks up, and he's just called him a I don't want to say the bad word, but a dick, and um, and then this little girl's like, "Hey, can you sign this?" And he's like, "If he's okay with it," and he like calls him if Richard's okay with that, um, and he's like, "Are you okay with that, Dick?" Uh, I know I said it there, but it is said in the context of a name in the film, so that's okay. But it's like you get the little inside joke there. And then the kid, and then like her like little brother's like standing right next to Tony. He turns to him and goes, "I loved your work in A Christmas Story, by the way." That's just such a little subtle like little reference. Like, most people wouldn't get. The kid's like, "What?" And Christmas Story, it's one of my favorite comedies, actually. It's one of my favorite, and since it's based at Christmas time, that kind of works. So you can watch this at Christmas, actually, but it doesn't really feel like it came out in May of 2013, so it's like it's kind of a weird movie to release around that time, because Thor came out in like November. I'm like, why wouldn't you release Thor in the summer and like this one in November? Because like it's more Christmas time, so it makes sense. Because Thor, if anything, like Thor 2, it's been like over a year since I last watched it, but last time I watched it, it felt that a lot like a summer movie and not like a November Christmassy time sort of movie. Um, so yeah, and then I guess we'll talk about the main thing that everyone hates about this movie, and Spoilers, obviously. The Mandarin, he's set up to be like this intimidating, creepy guy, and then it turns out the whole time that he is an actor. Trevor Slattery, he's just an actor. And everyone's mad about that. I don't care. It's funny. The main villain of the movie, he's not that great, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it's a funny twist, and it's like I've never seen an argument that's actually valid. All I've seen is I don't like it because it disrespects the comics or something, and it's like, you know, like make up your own opinion, and if you guys don't like this movie and you don't like the twist, that's fine. But like, let me know in the comments if you don't like this movie and you don't like the twist in it. Just let me know in the comments if you actually have a valid argument and it's not accurate or it disrespects the comic or something. Like, let me know if you actually have a well thought out argument for why you don't like the twist in this movie. But I think it's funny and I think it adds to it. But then the main villain, Aldrich Killian, is kind of lame. Like, he's not a very interesting villain at all. And he's just like he's I guess you understand his character, but like there's this random scene in the middle of the movie where he's like, Tony, this is my backstory, which you kind of already knew, but here's why I'm a villain. And it's this cliche that I hate in movies. And there's a guy that I follow who talks about movies, Sean Chandler. Sean Chandler talks about. He's like a movie critic, and this is where I agree with him. It's this cliche that I hate, where the hero said something slightly mean to this character way in the past, and then they become a supervillain. That's what they did with The Incredibles with Buddy and Mr. Incredible. He's like, go home, buddy, I work alone. In this movie, it's a little more serious, because it's Tony saying he's going to take a look at this guy's company, he just leaves him on the roof. But, so it's not just someone saying something, but Mr. Incredible in The Incredible says something slightly mean, and then he turns into a supervillain and kills people. In this movie, this guy is like a nerdy guy. Tony, kind of, he's not really mean to him. He's just kind of like, and he's not really like dismissing him for being a nerd or whatever the heck. He's just kind of just like, he's like, he's busy, he doesn't really have time for him, so he's not really being mean to the guy. And then he tells him later, he was like, I was thinking of taking the one step to the lobby. So he was contemplating jumping off the roof and committing suicide. That's stupid. That's really stupid. It's like, oh my god, someone left me there and didn't look at my company, so I'm gonna become a supervillain and kill people. Like, it's the stupidest cliche ever, and I hate it. It's a cliche that I don't care for, and I really don't like that cliche at all. I just don't like it at all. And it's like, even the character, like, he's written pretty badly too. Like, his dialogue is really bad. Like, he's like, at the end, he's like, she could have been mine, Tony. And it's just like this really cliche, like, villain dialogue. And it's like, it's just kind of stupid. But the rest of the movie is really fun. But, like, I guess we're getting into issues now. There's this really weird moment, like, where Tony, it was a really heartfelt moment, which I was talking about earlier, which is where he's, like, talking to Pepper, and he's saying how, I have to protect the one person that I can't live without, and that's you. And that ties back into later in Endgame. He says there's a threat that's imminent, and I have to prepare for it. And that's obviously foreshadowing Thanos' arrival in Infinity War. But yeah, and it's like, so he has this really heartfelt speech like 2 scenes ago, and then Happy gets injured, and then he goes, okay, I'm gonna give the Mandarin my home address, which isn't out of character. That seems like Tony Stark. But like, what is really out of character is he's just like, Pepper's like, okay, we gotta leave the house, and then he's just like, nope, the man says no, and it's like, what? And then I was thinking, like, oh, maybe I forgot about this, and maybe he actually does something about that. Like, maybe that's like a character arc. No, in the next scene when he ends up in Tennessee, he's like, I'm sorry, I act really selfish about that, and it's like, okay, so you didn't learn anything about that. That's weird. And then like the Extremis people, the whole Extremis thing is really confusing. So there's a part where Tony's like, I've got to hack into your suit, Rhodey, so give me your password. And he's like, it's War Machine Rocks with an X, all capitals, and then everyone's laughing at him. And it's, I guess it's kind of a funny moment. It's a very comic booky movie. Like, it's a very cartoony movie, and that's what it is. It's just, Shane Black wanted to make a fun Iron Man superhero movie, and that's what he made. It's not one of the most incredible MCU movies in terms of, like, themes and things. Like, I think the first Iron Man is probably better in terms of like themes and stuff that it has running throughout it, but this is definitely the best in terms of just like fun, entertaining stuff. It's one of the best MCU movies in that arena, but it's not one of the best in terms of themes and emotions and stuff. The first one I think is a better film. I really do like the second one, as I've already talked about, but I think I can see myself rewatching this one more. But yeah, so the Extremis thing is really weird. So he's like, okay, like basically what it is the whole AIM, AIM. They are like this company where they say, oh, if you have an injury or something, we'll heal you, and they do, but it like they have to go through a lot of pain, and it's like so. If they just had one line where they say like, oh, the Extremis experiments drive them insane, or they turn them evil or something. Like, I can understand that would be a traumatizing experience, and maybe that turns them evil, but, like, they've experimented on, like, hundreds of people, and then it's just, like, it just turns them evil. Like, they're just evil. It's like, there's this one guy, Chad Davis or something, who they follow throughout a majority of the film. Why is he evil? There's never an explanation why he's evil. It's like, okay, we understand Aldrich Killian, but why are you evil? Like, if they'd had one line where they're like, the experience is so traumatizing that it drives them insane, but they didn't have that, so there's no reason for them to be evil. And there was a really weird scene with Harley and Tony, which someone brought up that I watched on YouTube, where like, so Tony breaks into this old house, and the Harley Keener character, who looks like he'll be back in Avengers Endgame, which I'm really excited about. But so he's like he breaks into this shed in Tennessee when he gets there, and then he says, oh my gosh, is that Iron Man? Because he has a suit, and he's like, well, technically, I'm Iron Man. So he knows who Iron Man is, but not Tony Stark. Then he gives him a newspaper and says, well, technically, you're dead. And then, so that obviously implies that he knows who Tony Stark is. Or maybe he doesn't. Like, maybe that just means that he knows from the newspaper who Tony Stark is. But then, it's like, if they just left that out, then this scene would have worked fine. But then he asks, what's your name? He's like, the mechanic. You know, so it's like, if they just left out that one line where he says, technically, you're dead, then, like, it's important to let Tony know, but if they let that out, and then he asks, who are you? And then, because it's a fun little gag later in the movie about how he calls himself the mechanic. Like, at the end of the movie, when he gives him all that stuff, and he's like, the potato gun Mark II, your pal, the mechanic, you know? Like, that's really fun, but if they just left that line out, it wouldn't be a problem, but it is, because they didn't really fix that. So that's a really weird interaction. But going back to what I was saying earlier, so he's like, Rhodey, I need to get into your suit, and then he gets into his suit, and then he, like, gets in this, like, van or something, and there's this, like, dorky guy who's, like, nerding out over meeting Tony Stark. He's kind of annoying. But then he's like, okay, I need your password, and then it's like, and they say, oh, AIM were the people who authorized Rhodey's Iron Patriot suit or whatever. But then he's just like able to access every AIM file ever. It shows all these testings with like the guy in them, and it's like they're supposed to be like secret like files, but like just getting into Rhodey's suit, he's able to look at like every file from AIM ever. It just feels kind of weird to me in that way. And then also, like, the suits in this movie actually look pretty good. Which is something I forgot to mention, is there's a fight in Tony's mansion in Iron Man 2 where Rhodey is fighting Tony, and their suits look terrible. Like, they look like crap. Like, they're fighting, and their suits look so fake. But in the first one, there are a lot of practical effects, like the Mark 1 and all the other suits. Like, they looked really good in the first film. And the suits in this one look pretty good. Like, Iron Patriot, for the most part, when Rhodey's in it, looks pretty good. And then the Mark 42, I believe, it looks pretty cool too. Like, it's actually a pretty cool looking suit. Like, it looks like whenever it gets damaged, like, you can see all the detail and all the damage that's been done to it. And then, of course, in the finale, all the suits come in. You know, it's a cool scene, and the suits all look good. And the Bones suit. So the Bones suit, like, shows up for, like, 10 seconds, flies apart, and takes out all these guys. So that's what it was. I was wondering what the Bones suit was, and it comes in the Hall of Armor. But yeah, I just didn't have enough figures from this movie to make a display. Like, the only ones I have are, like, the new Igor, and I have the bone suit, but I don't have the main suit, so I was like, I'll just pull up this poster, and also I'm working on something as well, so it just worked out like this. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all I have to talk about with Iron Man 3. I like it a lot more than I remember. I don't mind the Mandarin twist. The main villain's kind of lame. He's a cliche that I don't care for. But overall, it's a really fun, enjoyable Iron Man superhero movie. It's not one of the best MCU movies still. There are tons of better ones with more deep themes like Iron Man 1, Civil War, Infinity War. There are many better movies in that department, but as a fun, entertaining superhero movie, it's fine and it does its job pretty well. So I'm gonna give Iron Man 3 a B or a B plus, leaning more towards a B plus. So yeah, that's probably all I have to say about Iron Man 3. Let me know what you think of Iron Man 3 in the comments if you've seen it, and what do you think of the Mandarin twist? Do you hate it, or are you one of the defenders of it? And if you don't like it, give me a valid argument instead of it's not accurate to the comics. But yeah, be staying tuned for my hopefully my review of Age of Ultron and Infinity War soon, and then I'm going to be posting a Endgame TV spot in Lego. I'm really busy this week, so sick bricks, man. If you're watching this, I might not get my entry for your mock contest out in time because my desk is kind of a mess right now. But yeah. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think of Iron Man 3 if you've seen it, and what you thought of my review in the comments as well. And I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.